Right. I'm live. I'm gonna zoom in just a skosh. There we go. I'm gonna wait for people to pop on in and we'll see what happens. Let's see here. Whoops. I'm checking to make sure my shit is working. There we go. Let me grab a monoline brush. I'll wait for some people to pop on in here. So for the people on the replay, this is the monthly live stream. I'm gonna be doing some spooky lettering. That should be fun. It'll last about half an hour or so, and then I gotta get to my kids' homecoming parade. Yay, homecoming, yay. Anyway, my nails are so fucking janky right now. I need to clean them up. I just haven't had time. I'm trying so hard to get caught up on everything before, shit hits the fan with me leaving out of town. So anyway, all right, so I've got my iPad out. I have my Apple Pencil, and then I picked a monoline tip. I like to work on the iPad for these live videos because I can go faster as opposed to working slower with paper. I can fit more in. Anyway, my nails are fucking raggedy. Hey, Deb. Anyway, so. Okay. Checking on my comments. All right, so I'm going to get going, and I'm double checking something. Hold on. Give me 1 second. If it seems like I'm out of it, it's because I took a painkiller last night. It's been my excuse a lot lately, but it's been a really rough few weeks. And I'm still groggy as shit. How are we enjoying homecoming week so far? Katie dressed like a hippie yesterday for Decades Day. And we got a dress, like an off-the-shoulder dress. And like John Lennon type sunglasses. And Katie made a flower crown. And you know when you're wearing an outfit that you feel like flatters you and it just makes you feel yourself like you're feeling really good? That's what Katie felt. And so that outfit will be making an appearance quite often. Plus, many friends asking for flower crowns. I told Katie they should charge. Anyway, so my favorite kind of spooky lettering to do is the kind with the dripping. And I've shown how to do this before last year, but I'm going to show it again. So I'm going to start I'm going to use a really short word to start this because the suggestions I got in the comments on the Patron post are longer. So I'm going to try some other things besides the drippy lettering. It's hard to do with a really long word. It works best with short, kind of punchy words. Did I see the Jenna Marbles video? Yes, I did. And it was amazing. And it made me want to oil paint. All right. So the word I'm going to use is gross because gross is what this makes me feel like. So for this, you can use whatever style of writing you want, but it looks really good with bubble lettering. So I'm going to just draw in a standard bubble lettering of the word gross. Now this, imagine I am doing this with pencil, okay? This is not the final countdown. The final countdown. I'm going to run out of room. Of course I am. Not my best bubble lettering, but that's okay. Okay, so imagine that this is pencil, right? I'm going to reduce the opacity of this layer so that it looks more pencil-y. All right, so this is pencil. This is where you start. You start with your word. Now to make it gross, to make it drippy, what you'll do is you'll go and you'll add on just some nice drips. Now how do I do this? I imagine that I'm coming down the edge, and as you hit the bottom, it starts to melt, right? So I don't start the melting like in the middle here like that. I like to go to the edge, so I'm following the bottom, and as I hit the bottom, I just start adding my drips, right? And then whenever there's a edge that you end at, so here or here, like, or right here, where you're at the edge of like a surface here on the bottom, that's where I stop the drips. So I'm only imagining the bottom of the letter melting like a candle, okay? Now, if I want to, I might add a few drips in the, like any upper sections like that or here. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends on if I think it's going to be hard to read or not. So I change my mind sometimes depending. I'll do it for now though. And then again, I show the drips. So for here, follow it down and just add drips. And the trick is to not have each drip be the same length. You want them to, actually want this to kind of, there we go. You don't want each drip to be the same length. You want them to kind of vary between longer and shorter. And instead of just going straight down like that for drips, that winds up looking like a weird penis. You just want to kind of wobble your pen as you're going down and back up again, because it makes it look like it's like wobbling as it's dripping as opposed to like plop. All right, so I'm trying that here, making some drips. Bring it up. I'm not going to bother with on the bottom of the S, the top part of the S, because it's so short. I don't want it to look funky. Maybe a little bit. There we go. All right, so that's kind of where you block it in. And then if this was pencil, you're going to pen it in, but you're not, any of these sections here, you're going to ignore. You're only going to go around the outside of the letter as opposed to all of the lines that you see. So as an example, I'm just going to trace around the G. And then as I hit the drips, I'm just going to trace around the drips. And I'm going to go up and go right back into the G. And so if you close this, then you see that's kind of what happened with your drippy letter. Now, you'll see that it becomes harder to read when you do that. And that's why you need to practice this to figure out where you want to put the drips so that the letter doesn't look illegible. You do want it to be readable, even if it's also kind of gross looking. This is the trick with any lettering, is to make sure that you can read it. That's more important than how cool it looks, is that you can read it, because at the core, lettering is letters. If you don't need it to be legible, if you just want it to be, notice I'm not following this perfectly either. If you don't want it to be legible, then you might as well just doodle, right? So I'm just going to follow this along. And now I'm going to get rid of that. And there's the word gross. So it's like a word, but it's, you know, all gross and melted. Now, if you want to color it, one of my favorite things to do is to like do a couple of shadings. So we'll take some greens. We'll take this lighter green, and we'll fill it like it's slime. Now imagine I'm just coloring this in with a marker, right? So I'm filling the green in with slime. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add another layer so that this looks better. But I'm going to take a darker green, and I'm going to color in. Oops, that was not a good idea. That didn't work. Oh well. Well, fuck it. We'll make it work. I'm going to color in. Yeah, I could have done this in a better way so that I didn't like lose the black, but you get what I'm saying. And I'm going to color in like a similar kind of wobbly situation here. And what that does is it makes it look like your wax is like, it's dipped into something. You know, you can like create this like, blah, blah, blah. So that is the way to do it. Anyway, and you color the whole thing in. Or what you could do is, instead of doing that, you could just add like a shadow of whatever color on the inside, but do it on the inside of the letter rather than the outside. Just kind of follow the curves of your blah, 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 and that makes a really neat looking effect. It's anything you can do with a block letter to shade it or add detail to it. with something like this, as long as you stick to colors that seem to, like I use greens because it makes me think of slime. If I used blues, like if I went to like a blue like this, and I tried to add this, it would start to feel more like an icicle. The colors you choose matter. So for a Halloween style spookiness, I would go with green for slime or orange or like a dark purple. And if I was going to use this for, if I was going to use this for icicles, I probably would have made the ends a little bit pointier, and I would have used variations on like light blue, a little darker blue, and like blue gray, because that would create an icicle look. You can do it for either, but the colors you choose will really help define what it is that you're doing here. Okay, so that's kind of the style of this. Now, I'm going to go back to black for right now, because I want to talk about some other ways to use spooky lettering. All right. So I'm going to go to a brush pen. All right. Now, regular brush lettering, like if I was going to write, what was one of the suggestions here? We have creative hopelessness. Okay. This is not just for Halloween. This is also the idea that the way you make your letters will help convey what you're trying to say. The way your letters are shaped will help whoever's looking at it understand the look. So as an example, if I was going to take a brush pen and write creative in like a round kind of loopy brush pen style, it would feel very happy, very very positive, like this. Oops. Like that feels kind of happy, right? But then if you make it more angular, you stretch your letters vertically a little bit more, you add a little bit more of corners to them rather than rounding them. Like I'm not saying make pointy corners, but don't take such a smooth round, kind of jerk it into it like this. It's going to feel, it'll feel different. So creative gives you a different vibe with both of them. Different, like using two different brush styles causes a different vibe. So what was the thing she wanted me to write? She wanted me to write creative hopelessness. So I'm going to write that, and it's going to be pretty, but it's not going to be, it's not going to be, it's not going to be like happy, like it's not going to look like it belongs in the happy planner. Let's just put it that way. Okay. It's going to look, and like you can make, like rather than doing cursive, you can do like, that looks like a G. Try a second. It looks different. And if you add with something like this, if you add in like a spider web and a little bat, because you used a style of lettering that doesn't feel like it belongs in a wedding invitation, it feels a little bit more spooky. And now imagine that we took a background and made it orange, like a dark orange, like a, yeah. Suddenly, it's Halloween lettering, even though it says the word creative. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, the colors you choose and the styles you pick can take a word that looks completely different. So if we take these and we close them off and we do another layer here, oops. I'm going to make this layer, the background, like a soft pink. And then I'm going to write creative in a different way. I'm going to write it in, I'll do black again, but I'm going to make it swirly. I'm out of room. Whoops. Whatever. And add a couple hearts to it. Actually, I think this background color is not exactly what I want. Let me try a different one here. Let's try a brighter pink. Try this one, but we'll add some white to it. See, that one feels more Valentine's-y. Actually, that still feels kind of like this is not the right color palette for me. What do I want? I don't know what I want. There we go. Now it feels more Valentine's-y. The way versus something like that where it feels like it's spooky for Halloween, even though until I added the orange and the spider and the bat, there's nothing Halloween about this. There's no font style that's Halloween. It's the way you present it that gives you a different idea. So let me move this because I want to finish that quote she asked for. So we'll do creative. We'll center this like right here. And then underneath that, I'm going to put mindfulness because that's what she asked for. Make it on a different layer just in case I'm full of fuckery. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same kind of angular is it 2 L's or 1 L? I don't know how to spell today. Hopelessness, not mindfulness. Maybe it's a good thing that I fucking paid attention. I told you I'm super groggy today. Creative hopelessness. Okay, let's try this again. I'm keeping the letters narrow and kind of like flick up as much as I can out of them. Hopelessness. And then here, I'm going to add another spider. I know they're supposed to be 8-legged, but I don't have room for that, so. And then maybe another spider web right here. And over here, we'll do another spider web. Another little buddy here. Little buddy. We'll do another bat. We'll fill that bat in. Creative hopelessness. And you see, this is a Halloween style lettering, even though the words themselves are not Halloween, if that makes sense. It's what I'm kind of, how do I get to do the thing to do filling in? Let me show you, because it took me forever to figure this out. You can find, like I was looking on the internet to figure it out. So imagine here that I just drew a circle, right? To fill it in, you take where the circle, right here where the color is, you just grab onto that and drag it over, and that fills it in. Now, what you'll find sometimes, I don't think you can see it here, but sometimes there's a line and you'll have to go back around with your pen and just kind of trace over it so that it looks smooth. But that that's how you fill in. That's basically the paint bucket. The paint bucket tool is that. All right. So another style, let's give you another Halloween style. Another thing that can be interpreted as a Halloween style. I have found that adding curliness to your printing makes it look like Halloween. All right. So let me grab. Give me a second here. This is the thing that Robin asked for. Grabbing some lyrics. Come on. Words can kill. Let's do that, okay? So I'm gonna do the same thing, right? I'm gonna do I'm going to do a quote and I'm going to make it Halloween. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take printing and I'm going to curl it. So for a W, I would, and then I would drop it down, kind of like what I was doing with the cursive. I found angular and skinny evokes Halloween and spookiness, but so do curlies. Think The Nightmare Before Christmas. So there's a W. I'm going to take the R up, bring it down. I'm going to curl that again. Bring in the D around, bring in the D. And then I'm going to curl the S. S's you can do a lot of fun with because you can make them like fit into each other. Oh. Text messages from my ex-husband. What does he want? Let's find out. Oh, I don't know. I'm streaming with my phone. I've got the iPad. I'll take a look at it. I've got 10 minutes to finish this up. Words can kill. So I'm just going to write can in regular cursive because it's small. I'll make it small to save room, but I'm still keeping the cursive kind of angular. And now we're going to go with a K because that just is perfect. Now notice I'm adding the curliness. It looks like an F. Let's try this. Nope. I'm just going to let it go down. I don't like where that's positioned. Let's try this again. Let's try this. There we go. Words can kill. Now, if we take a background and add an orange background to it, actually, let's do a purple background. Like a Halloween purple, like a dark. Yeah, that has a Halloween look to it, doesn't it? Now what I think I'm going to do is this is an iPad trick rather than a regular lettering trick. I'm going to duplicate this, and this bottom one I'm going to recolor with white. And then I'm going to add like a shadow, like move it around to add like a little shadow. And that creates kind of a spooky Nightmare Before Christmas look. But you see how playing with colors and just taking your handwriting and adding a little bit of flair to it. Like I didn't even add any doodles, and this still feels like it could be a Halloween situation. Now, if you want to do this with paper and you didn't want, with the whole white highlight, you could use a pen like this. If it was on dark enough paper, if you're writing with black, a Uniball Signo white gel pen pops. I showed you guys that when I did the painting on YouTube that I did, or Facebook that I did earlier this week. White on top with black and like dark colors really adds to that kind of spooky look, So the whole point of this stream was to explain kind of how even pretty lettering can turn into something that looks different with the color choices and how you lay it out. So let's do one more thing here. Oops, let's get rid of you. All right. I am going to start with purple, I think. And I'm going to go with the brush pen, but I'm going to make it a little bit bigger this time because I want it to be fatter. We've been working kind of skinny, and I want to do something very simple, but this would be something you could do with a gel pen. So I'm going to make a really fat lettering, and it's going to say boo. All right? That's what my lettering is going to say. It's going to say boo. So I'm going to make it really nice and fat. Let's move you over so I don't run out of freaking room. Oops. I don't like this. Hold on. Let's try this again. I'm going to work with black because purple's not doing it for me. I like working in black. Black is my favorite color to work with when it comes to lettering. But I'm going to make my monoline very big. Here we go. Make it nice. That's what I'm talking about. Boo. Now, the obvious way you could make this look spooky is to add eyeballs. Leaving a little white highlight really emphasizes that it's eyeballs. That's the obvious way. But something fun you can do, especially if you have a white gel pen, if you're working in black, I'm going to work with white, but you can do this as any color that's going to stand out on top of the black, is you can add some kind of decoration to the edges of it. Now, one way you can do that is to add eyeballs. That's too big. I need this to be skinnier. There we go. Or, oops, within the letter, you can do a spider web. This is very sloppy. Or you can take a color, if you've got a colorful gel pen, and you can just add your highlights to it. And then if you really wanted to add the eyeballs to it, a fun way to make the eyeballs look even more interesting would be to make them colorful, then go back to your black. Oops. And outline them in black. And you could even fill them in with black. And then you could do another one, that, and fill that in with like a green, because again, color. Like you see how using these Halloween style colors can just make it look different. And you can do this with highlighters. Highlighters actually can do, especially with the mild liners, there's a lot of different colors you can use. You can make it look sickly green. Oh, this could be gross. Yeah, that looks kind of nasty. And then you go back to your black. And add eyebrows. And there's all sorts of ways you can doodle on letters to take something that looks innocuous and make it look like something spooky. And now the final thing that I'm going to show you before I head off to the homecoming parade. And I know this has been a little bit low key or mellow, but like I said, I'm just trying to give you ideas. Here, today's stuff I'm teaching you is not something I want you to necessarily copy as much as I want you to walk away from thinking about how to use what you already know and change it up a little bit to make it seasonally appropriate for you. If you don't celebrate Halloween, it's not that hard to change kind of the angles of your writing and add different colors to make it like a winter holiday situation or something for the spring or fall or whatever the case may be. Like I found that, and I'll show you this just as like an example, a way to make, like for anything for the fall, if I was going to do a Halloween style fall thing, then I would, if I was going to make a Halloween style fall thing, then I would make my lettering kind of swirly, stretched out thin, and kind of angular. So it would be kind of like this. It's too thick. Try it again. And then I might even add some doodles to it to make it look like Halloween, right? And that by doing the kind of angular situation, it has like, it's fall, but it looks spooky like for Halloween. If I was going to make it for like fall itself and not Halloween, I actually would stretch it a little bit wider and I would make it a little bit slanted because I feel like that kind of brings to mind wind and breeze. And you could add some leaves to it or whatever, but you could do some things that would make it look a little bit more autumn as opposed to Halloween. So, as an example, I could like curl into it fall. And then if I wanted to draw some falling leaves, you could add some colors, some browns and golds to this, and that would make it look like fall. But you see the difference between the two situations and how they kind of give you a different feeling when you look at them. That's something that I think gets lost when people are learning how to hand letter. They learn different styles of lettering, but they don't stop to necessarily consider what feeling you want to invoke in whoever's looking at it. What do you want them to feel? Do you want them to look at it and see something specific? If I want them to think about like fall and like wind and like scarves and pumpkin spice lattes and basic bitches wearing headbands and Uggs boots. Like, if I want people to think about that, this is the kind of lettering I would use because this is the feeling it would invoke. If I want them to think about Halloween, I would make it look different than that. When it comes to winter, if I want someone to feel cold when they see it, then I would write it one way. And if I wanted them to feel like warm and cozy by a fire, I'd actually do a different kind of lettering or just adapt my lettering to that feeling. And it's not just about seasons. This can work with emotions like love versus hate versus fear versus courage versus all sorts of different things. Like, do you want somebody to feel proud and excited when they look at what you lettered, or do you want them to feel introspective and contemplative? You'll notice sometimes when you see people put typography up and like of a quote or something. And I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but I've seen this before. I should have picked some examples out where they'll put a quote up and it'll have like fancy lettering that they used instead of an app or something, but the words don't fit the style that they put up. And sometimes that can be used to like fuck with people's heads, and that might be what you're going for. But other times it feels kind of jarring and it's not something, you may not know why it feels that way, but it does feel that way when you look at it. So the thing I would love for you guys to stop and think about is, how do you want people to react when they, even if you're not doing it for somebody, even if you're just doing it for you? Like when you're writing, doing lettering, even if it's in your planner or something, why? Why are you lettering in your planner? What is the lettering there? Is it just to make it pop? Then make sure you use a lettering style that's going to pop off the page. Is it to remind you of something? Maybe you should pick something that feels akin to what you're trying to do. It's deep and it's probably way more thinking about things like hand lettering than maybe you want to do, but it helps up your game a little bit when you're really considering what the words say and what they look like as two sides of the same coin. That it's not just about, this is what I want it to say and I want it to be pretty. If you think deeper than that, if you think about the layers behind that, you will actually find yourself experimenting more because you're trying to come up with different ideas for what you're going to see. You know, like if I'm thinking about ways to letter something to make people feel inspired, then if I know I want people to be inspired, I think about not just the words I'm going to write, but how can I write them in a way that's legible, that gets the point across, but that also will help contribute to the inspiration that I am hoping that they feel. It's the same idea, but you can use it in all sorts of different ways. So I hope that I have given you some food for thought today in terms of what you might want to go and try doing. And this can also work with art as well. This doesn't just have to apply to lettering. It can apply in your planners. You don't just have to be doing things to display. They could be things just for you. But when you think about the reasons why you do things and why you want them to look a certain way, it adds more complexity and more meaning to it. And we can all do with a little bit more complexity and meaning in the things that we do that feel mundane, because that will help us feel like our lives are just that little bit richer. I sound like a fucking woo-woo hippie here, but it's true. So anyway, that's what I want to talk about today. I thought I was going to be doing more spooky stuff, but apparently painkillers take me to a weird ass motherfucking place. So I hope that this was in some way insightful for you guys. I will be doing a live plan with me on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. And if you're one of the $15 plus patrons, our hangout will be at 1:30 beforehand. And that'll be the last real live time I'm spending with you guys for the next couple weeks while I'm off for my sister's surgery. So hopefully that will be a lot of fun. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, you guys, I will see you later. I got to go jet to the homecoming parade and figure out what my ex-husband wants. I'll see you guys later. Have a lovely rest of your day. And can I turn this off? Yes, I can.